confirmed 3 deals in one day. I don't think we've ever had a triple here we go, but today is the first time it is happened. And apparently Manchester United are preparing a bid for Evan Ferguson. We'll be talking about all of this, as well as talking about Victor Lindelof, who apparently is set to leave the club, and also reacting to Manchester United's defeat to Man City in the Community Shield. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We're just about to hit 36,000 subscribers. So if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. Let's make sure we hit that by the end of today. Right. Let's start the show off by talking a little bit about the Community Shield, because I've gone on my Twitter after the game. If you want to go and follow us on Twitter, it's at Daily Red Devil. You're obviously more than welcome. I've headed over to Twitter after the game, and there are so many people being negative about the game, and I don't understand what game they were watching. I think the first half we were quite poor, but in the second half we should have scored 2 or 3 goals. Rashford should have scored. Mason Mount had a good opportunity. There was a couple of other chances as well where we definitely should have scored. And I actually think we should have won that game in 90 minutes, to be honest. I don't think we deserve to lose. Obviously on penalties, anything can happen. It is just a friendly at the end of the day. I did want to win that game, so I'm a little bit disappointed, but I'm not disappointed in the players. I'm not disappointed in Erik ten Hag. Just sometimes in football, the luck goes against you. And in a penalty shootout, anything can happen. Casemiro, I thought was really, really good. Standout performance. Bruno was good. Ahmad was absolutely unbelievable. Garnacho was decent as well. So overall, there was a lot of positives to take from that game. And I think we can go into the game against Fulham on Friday feeling quite hopeful, obviously knowing that De Ligt and Mazraoui will be signing for the club as well. We'll talk about both of them in a minute. But how did you find the game earlier on today? Let me know your thoughts after you've kind of had a bit of time to reflect on it. Do you think we played well? Are you one of those people who's sat there at home saying, I'm really upset, we played terribly? Let me know what you think in the comment section on how we performed today. But let's jump straight into some transfer related stories, and I want to start the show off by talking about Victor Lindelof. So this story broke earlier on today that apparently Victor Lindelof is set to leave Manchester United. This is coming out from multiple different people in the UK this evening, and the general consensus is that apparently he's available to leave this summer for as little as £6 to £9 million. He's got 1 year left of his contract. He's not wanted effectively at Manchester United anymore. He's not going to get a new deal. He's 30 years of age on £120,000 a week. I don't know where he is at the moment. There are some people saying that apparently he's being protected because he's going to be sold. The same with Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, he is now going to be sold. And I think that seems like the most likely option because obviously Lindelof was part of the pre-season and now suddenly he's injured. And I think, if you really, really evaluate this situation, the most likely outcome is that Victor Lindelof is, in fact, just waiting to be sold, And the story that came out earlier on today all but confirms that. It says that apparently Fenerbahce are still trying to sign Victor Lindelof for £6 to £9 million. That's what the fee would be. It says apparently that clubs from Saudi are also interested in him, as well as clubs from Italy. So there are lots of options for Victor Lindelof. And I think, to be honest, he could go to the Italian league and he would probably do really, really well there. I think he is more of that kind of style of footballer. He's not very physical. I think the Italian league's a lot slower, isn't it, than the Premier League? Because he's not the quickest. So yeah, I think get rid of Lindelof. 100% the correct decision. Obviously, £6 to £9 million doesn't sound like very much, but when you consider his wages, when you consider that if we don't sell him now, he'll leave for free next summer, I think it's a fair price, and I can't really complain, to be honest with you. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Would you sell Victor Lindelof? Do you think he should stay, or would you sell him this summer? I think, for me, it's 100% go, without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah. Keeping on the topic of centre-backs, though, we have got some news on a new player who looks to be coming in, and that is... I always struggle to say this guy's name, so I'll get there, all right? Obviously, yeah, sometimes it's difficult for me to get the pronunciation 100% right, but it's the centre-back from, or who was at Atletico Madrid. His name is Mario Hermoso. Hopefully I've said that right. And the latest this evening is that Manchester United are now leading the race to sign Mario Hermoso. It says the free agent defender wants a contract of 3 years with a salary that reaches £5.1 million per season. This is coming out from multiple different people, literally in the last half an hour. So 5.1 million a season is, let me get you that per week. That is, I mean, it's not even £100,000 a week. It's just under £100,000 a week. And if you think that Victor Lindelof is on £120,000 a week, you sell Lindelof, you cash in the 6 to 9 million that we said we could get for him. That goes into the bank. Maybe that goes towards another transfer, whatever you want to do with it. And then you bring in this Mario Hermoso guy. He's on less wages than Victor Lindelof. I think he's 2 years younger than Victor Lindelof, has a lot of experience, left-sided centre-back, he's left-footed, and he can also play at left-back. So I think this is a no-brainer, to be honest. I think it makes complete sense to do this deal. From what I've seen of him, he looks like the real deal. The only reason he left Atletico Madrid was because he wanted a pay rise, and apparently Atletico Madrid weren't willing to give it to him and actually were trying to offer him a contract on less money. At Atletico, he was earning about 130 grand a week. So Atletico offered him a new deal on reduced wages. He said no, and then he left as a free agent. So that's the situation there. He is somebody who played 31 games in La Liga last season. He played 9 times in the Champions League. And in total, he played 45 games across all competitions, which is a lot. That's a lot of football. If you compare that to, say, like Lindelof, right? So keep in mind the number 45. Mario Hermoso at Atletico Madrid, 45 games in all competitions. And then if you compare that with Victor Lindelof, who obviously looks set to leave, Lindelof last season was injured quite a lot. Wasn't he? So he was barely available. But if you look at him across last season, Victor Lindelof only featured in 28 games, whereas Mario Hermoso featured in 45 games for Atletico Madrid. So nearly double the amount of games. I would love for this to happen. At first, I'll be honest, I didn't really know that much about Mario Hermoso. I don't watch La Liga that often unless it's like a really big game. Obviously, I'd seen him play in the Champions League, but he's not really a name that we've been linked to. He's a player who's spent his whole career in La Liga. Most of his career, he's played for Atletico Madrid, having come through the Real Madrid Youth Academy. So he's definitely a very good player. He's got heaps of experience, and I think he would do really well at Manchester United, especially as a free agent signing. It's a clever bit of business from Manchester United and INEOS, and I hope that we get this one over the line very, very soon. But if there's anybody watching the show today who knows more about Mario Hermoso and wants to give me some, a bit of extra information on him, make sure you get in the live chat now and let me know, because I'd be interested to see. And I think just his versatility, the fact that he's very strong, he's very physical, he's played under Diego Simeone, who's one of the best managers in the world. I think he would be perfect for Manchester United. You know how physical and tough Diego Simeone players are, and I think we need that in our defence at the moment. We need somebody like Martinez who has the butcher, that dog in them. He's willing for a fight, and I think this guy is like that. So yeah, I'm excited to see him. If you want to go through some stats and stuff, we can do that really quickly as well, because I can see a few people in the chat saying, like, what's he like? Is he quick? Is he slow? Is he good at passing? So we can go through that. He's pretty quick. If you compare him to Victor Lindelof, I've got this website I use with all the stats and stuff of players, so it gives them a rating out of 100. So on the website I use, Victor Lindelof, his sprint speed and pace, etc., is 59 out of 100, Victor Lindelof, whereas Mario Hermoso is 75. So he's a lot quicker than Victor Lindelof. And then if you look at his defending and his physical attributes, his defending overall is 82, Lindelof is 81, and then physical, he's 79 and Lindelof is 76. So in all of the key attributes that we need for a defender, Mario Hermoso shines. He's quick, he's strong, and he's good at defending. He is 6 foot, which isn't the tallest, but I think it's enough. And he is somebody who has got a good pass in him as well, which I think is an area where Victor Lindelof does lack slightly. He's very good at getting the ball forward. He's very progressive in his play. So yeah, Mario Hermoso to Manchester United is definitely one that I think Manchester United should be doing. We desperately need to strengthen that defensive area. So hopefully we can get that one over the line. Zadam says he was the fastest defender in La Liga. Fair enough. And Zadam says, when he used to play for Espanyol, he won the best centre-half in the Liga that season. I didn't know that. And that's why this chat's so great, you know? That's why this chat's so great, because we all come together and we can have a say. Philip says, how old is he? He is 29 years of age. Lindelof is 30, I believe. Let me just double check. I don't want to... Yeah, Lindelof's 30 and he's 29. And as I said, you'll get 6 to 9 million for Lindelof. We signed this guy for free. He wants less money per week than Lindelof. He's just played for Diego Simeone in the Champions League, in La Liga. Like, he's a very, very good player. He has played for the Spanish team as well, so I think he'd be a decent option there. We've got over 1,100 people watching live now, which is amazing. We've only got 180 likes, though. If everyone could do me a small favour and smash a like, that would be really, really appreciated. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We're only 5 subscribers now away from 36k. So let's all get together. Let's make sure we get 36k by the end of today's video. I'm going to drop a link into the chat. Oh, I just posted the wrong thing. Oops. I just posted Mario Hermoso's name. Yeah, so go and subscribe if you haven't already. Right, let's move on from that, though, and let's jump on over to some of the best news that I think we've had in a very, very long time. And this news just kind of went under the radar a little bit. If this was on a normal day and not a match day, people would have been talking about this all day. People would have been going crazy. We've had 3 here we goes today for Manchester United. 3. Not 1, not 2, 3. When was the last time ever that we agreed 3 deals in one day? I can't remember. If anybody knows in the comment section, let me know, because I genuinely can't think of when we've ever had 3 here we goes in one day for Manchester United. So let's go through the timeline of events. So the first ones were a double here we go involving Mazraoui and Ligt. So that came from David Ornstein. He confirmed that Manchester United have agreed 2 deals. One for 38 million for Ligt. Great. Remember, Bayern Munich were asking for 42 million all window. So we've managed to get 4 million off their asking price. And I know people are like, oh, 4 million's not very much, blah, blah, blah. Why have we wasted all this time? 4 million's a hell of a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. And when I explain why in a minute, you will understand, right? So 38 million for Ligt, and then Mazraoui is only 13 million, 1-3. I'm very, very happy about that. It's about 50 million pounds combined for those 2 players, which will completely transform our team. Obviously, Ligt is a right-sided centre-back, will partner with Martinez perfectly, having played with him at Ajax under Erik ten Hag. And then Mazraoui obviously can play at right-back, left-back. He can play as a centre-back. He can play as a CDM. He's a very, very versatile player, and I think Mazraoui will fit right in at Manchester United. Now, the one thing I will say is, next season, the pressure will be on Erik ten Hag, because he will now have pretty much a whole back 4 that he's picked, right? It'll be Onana in goal, Martinez and Ligt, and then Mazraoui. And I think it's going to be Dalot at left back. I think Luke Shaw is just not reliable enough. So Erik ten Hag will pretty much have a whole back 5, bar 1 player of players that he signed. Now, why I think this is so important, because we saw in the game today, when you have Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire at centre-back, you can't play out from the back. You just can't. Because they don't have the attributes to be able to do it. And that's why I think Onana's just constantly booting the ball long, because he's worried that if he passes the ball to Johnny Evans is either going to get tackled or he's going to, panic under the pressure and then we'll concede a chance. So I think De Ligt and Martinez as a partnership alongside Mazraoui should unlock this ability to play football coming out from the back. And obviously the biggest test is going to be against Fulham next week. That's in, 4 or 5 days we play Fulham. So hopefully we can see it immediately. It might take a little bit of time. But yeah, I'm excited to see this. And I think for the amount of money that we've paid for these 2 players, I think it's really, really good business. And you know what? I'm going to give a lot of praise to INEOS here, because there are some people that were already starting to call INEOS the Glazers 2.0. And I just don't understand it. They've been here for 6 months. The window's only been open for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. They've signed Lenny Yoro, who's the best up-and-coming centre-back in the world. They've signed Joshua Zirkzee, who I think is going to be a good signing. They've got rid of 9 players. And they've also now signed De Ligt, Mazraoui as well. Like, the window has done very, very well so far, I think. I'm really, really happy about it. But How do you guys rate the transfer window so far? Let's do a little poll. Let's do a poll. So it's going to be this. How do you rate the window so far out of 10? So we're going to do... I can only do 4 answers. So it's going to be 10, 8, 6. So we'll do 0 to 2, 2 to 4. Give me 1 second, guys. Remember, it's just me who does this channel. So when we set up the polls, I've got to do it myself manually. There you go. The poll's set up. So at the point of recording this video, we have signed Lenny Yoro and Xerxes, and we have agreed deals for Ligt and Mazraoui. So we've effectively signed 4 players. 4 players, and we've sold, I think, 9. It'll be 10, including Wan-Bissaka. I'd probably give this window... Ooh, it's hard. Don't you start getting funny ideas, you lot. It's not that... No. That sounded really bad, didn't it? I just... oh, God. As I was saying it, I thought to myself, that sounds really bad, especially how I was saying it as well. Hopefully none of you are thinking... Hopefully none of you all had your ears closed or something, because that was... Yeah, that came out wrong. I would say with those 4 deals, if we can get Hermoso over the line and we can get Manuel Ugarte or another midfielder, I would say it's probably like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 window, to be honest. We haven't overpaid for anybody. We've got plenty of strength in lots of positions. We've got Erik ten Hag's first choice options, right? Let me just say that, and I want everyone to... really, really listen to this bit, because this is the most important thing here. That I'll probably say across the whole show. Erik ten Hag is getting all of his first choice options here. Xerxes was the first choice option. Lenny Yoro was the first choice option that none of us thought we could get. Mazraoui is clearly the first choice right back option. And Ligt has been the first choice option for 2 years. Erik ten Hag tried to sign Ligt when he first joined from Ajax, and Ligt ended up going to Juventus. So far, all 4 of our deals this summer have been Erik ten Hag's number 1 target. So as Ashley says in the chat, he can't complain. He can't. And I would agree with that. The pressure is on Erik ten Hag this season. I back Erik ten Hag. I think he's the right man for the job. I like him. I think he's going to take us to where we all want to be. But there's no complaints now. There isn't. Because he has the players that he's asked for. If he gets Manuel Ugarte as well, that'll be 5 and 5. And I think we will get Manuel Ugarte. We'll talk about him in a minute. But the point I'm making here is INEOS are doing everything they can to give Erik ten Hag the tools to succeed. They've given him Ruud van Nistelrooy, who was a manager of PSV not long ago. They've given him René Haak, who was the manager of Go Ahead Eagles. He's got 2 Eredivisie managers as his assistants. And he's also got a whole new kind of team behind him of people. So there's no excuses here. It is going to take time. It's not going to be an overnight process. But when I say no excuses, I don't mean we should be winning the league. I'm saying that we need to see a clear style of play. That has to be the biggest goal for this season. And I know people will say, we're Manchester United, we should be winning things. And I agree. And I think that once you see a style of play, the trophies and stuff will come, 100%. And what you have to remember is, and I said this earlier on today, that Arteta has been at Arsenal for 5 years, and they have a style of play. But they've only won 1 trophy in 5 years, and that was the FA Cup. Erik ten Hag's won 2 trophies in 5 years. He's achieved more in 5 years than what Arteta has. But Erik ten Hag doesn't have a style of play at the moment, and I think that's because he doesn't have the right players. I seen some people on Twitter earlier, right, complaining that Erik ten Hag should have played a high line today with Johnny Evans and Maguire as your centre-back partnerships. And I just have to... I have to wonder, like, who are these people who watch football sometimes? And this isn't me being, mean or whatever, but on what earth can you play a high line with Maguire and Johnny Evans? Of course you've got a camp on the edge of your box. Imagine if you try and play a high line with those two, right? 1 ball over the top, Haaland gets in and he scores every single time. So, of course, you've got a camp out on the edge of your box. Whereas with Martinez and with Ligt, I'm expecting us to play in the opponent's half. I'm expecting to play right up the pitch. So, yeah. Macmillan says, Euros and Xerxes I see as INEOS buys, and Erik ten Hag was in board with. He didn't ask for them. What, you don't think he asked for Joshua Xerxes? Who do you think he wanted instead? I reckon he wanted Xerxes, definitely. He's a fellow Dutchman. Erik ten Hag is always... So far, we've got an Ajax past and present and a half Dutch team. That's what Erik ten Hag's doing. Of course he'd want Xerxes. Come on. You can't honestly think that INEOS pushed Joshua Xerxes on Erik ten Hag. If anything, it would have been the other way round, I think. That Erik ten Hag would have been like, oh yeah, get Xerxes. Get Ligt. Oh, get Malacia, you know? Before you know it, it will be the Dutch past and present / the Ajax past and present. And you know what? If we start playing beautiful football, I couldn't care less whether they're players who've played for Erik ten Hag before. I don't care what nationality they are. All I want is to see good football, and I want to be entertained. That's all I want. And obviously to win trophies, but we've already done that. ARR says, the style of play was partially on show today. Mate, we played better than Man City today, without a shadow of a doubt. And those people on Twitter who are like, Man City were missing 5 players. We were playing Man City with Johnny Evans at the age of 36 and Harry Maguire as our centre-back partnership, up against the most deadly striker in world football, Erling Haaland. You had Martinez at left-back, who's a left-sided centre-back, and you had Dalot at right-back, you know? Like, I don't understand this whole logic where people are trying to say that we only played well because Man City were missing players. We were missing players as well. We didn't have a striker on the pitch. We had Mason Mount playing as a striker. Like, we had Toby Collier play most of the second half, who's never played a proper game of football for Man United in his whole career. Like, it's just a poor excuse. And Toby Collier did well, by the way. Macmillan says, if Erik ten Hag was pro Xerxes, he would have played today. Mate, apparently Xerxes wasn't fit. That's why he didn't play. That's been widely reported today. He only didn't play because he's not match ready. That was the only reason. But let's move on from that. So obviously we spoke about Ligt, we've spoke about Mazraoui. That's 2 deals in the bag. Really, really happy about that. And obviously the other one, the final piece of the puzzle, because obviously the video says triple here we go. And I like to explain, you know, why the videos say what they are so people don't get confused. But the third here we go is Wan-Bissaka. I honestly couldn't believe this when this news dropped. Like, it was about an hour before kickoff for the game, and everyone was focused on the Community Shield, right? That was all people were talking about. And within the space of an hour, we got here we go Ligt, here we go Mazraoui, and then we got here we go Wan-Bissaka. Like, literally within the space of an hour. But in relation to Wan-Bissaka, the fee is apparently £15 million plus £5 million an add-on. So it's a £20 million deal. I'm happy with that. I think it's a fair price. 1 year left on his contract. He's on about 100k a week wages, so that's, you know, that off the wage bill. And apparently, Wan-Bissaka will be doing his medical tomorrow, and Ligt and Mazraoui will be doing their medicals on Monday. I've been told that apparently Mazraoui and Ligt need to be registered by Thursday in order to be part of the game on Friday. So we've got plenty of time to do that. Manchester United will train on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and have a light training session on Thursday. So if Ligt and Mazraoui are at Carrington on Monday, then hopefully we can have them in training later on that week, and hopefully they'll be part of the game against Fulham on the Friday, which is really, really important. And there was one really important detail which I missed out a couple of minutes ago, which I wanted to bring into the show. And it has been confirmed by multiple people that apparently the transfer fees for Ligt and Mazraoui are going to be paid over a 3-year period, right? I mean, INEOS have done so well at doing this. In previous years, just to give you an example, what would happen is the Glazers would go to their credit card provider, they'd borrow money, and this isn't me making this up, this is facts. You can go and find this out if you look on the internet, right? They'd go and borrow the money, and then they'd go and buy people like Casemiro and Antony for overinflated prices. And a lot of the time then, they were having to pay most of the fees up front. Not all of it, but most of it, like half of it. Whereas in relation to Ligt, 38 million, and we're paying it over a 3-year contract to Bayern Munich. So we're giving them 12.5 million this summer, 12.5 million next summer, and 12.5 the season after. And Mazraoui, it's the same. 13 million over a 3-year period. So we're only paying this summer for Mazraoui £4.3 million. So I'm going to give you the total of how much Manchester United have spent so far this window. and then I'm going to tell you how much we've actually spent. Does that make sense? Because you're probably listening thinking, what the hell is this guy talking about? But let me explain. So, Ligt, 38 million. Mazraoui, 13 million. Xerxes, 34 million. And Lenny Yoro, 42 million. Okay? So that's 127 million pounds that we've spent. That's the headline. But all of those deals have been spread over a 3-year period. So this summer, we're only actually spending 42 million pounds on those 4 players. 42 million is nothing in the grand scheme of things. And we've sold Mason Greenwood for 30. We sold Donny van der Beek. We sold Willy Cambuala for 11. We sold, what's he called? The left back, Alvaro Fernandez. There's a couple of others that I've forgotten as well. So we've only spent 42 million pounds this summer. And then obviously we'll have to spend 42 million next summer and 42 million the summer after. So there's a little bit of a disadvantage there where next summer, if we're not in the Champions League, then in the back of our heads, we'll know that we still have to pay out 42 million from the deals from this year. So it does kind of rely on success the next season. Like if we have another terrible season, it might mean that next year our funds are a little bit more limited, you know, because we'll know that we're still paying off all of these other deals. So that's obviously something to consider. But overall, I'm super, super happy with the business we've done this summer. I keep mentioning this on the show, but I think it's really important. Manchester United have removed... This doesn't include De Ligt and Mazraoui, to be fair. So obviously it will change after that. But up to this point, they've got 100... What was it? 100? No. It was just under £1 million a week in wages have been removed. Their wages last season were about 220 million. Now they're on about 170. That was from getting rid of people like Mason Greenwood, Donny van der Beek, Raphael Varane, Martial, Brandon Williams. Like even Brandon Williams was on about 70k a week. Varane was on 350. Donny was on 150. Martial was on 250. Like it's absolutely crazy when you break down some of the wages that we've been paying out. And I think INEOS have done an incredible job at removing wages over the last kind of 6-8 weeks of the window. So that's really, really good. We've got over 1,600 people watching live now, which is absolutely amazing. We've only got 400 likes though. Let's try and get to the 1,000 likes target. We can definitely do it. Everybody go and like the video now if you haven't already. And we are now only 2 subscribers away from 36k. So come on, there must be 2 of you watching right now who aren't subscribed. Go and subscribe. Let's get to 36k. And once this video ends, which will be in about 20 minutes or so, if you want to have some conversation with me, I will be over on Twitter. I'm just dropping the link into the chat now, so make sure you go and do that. Macmillan says that the Muppeteers said earlier on today that Aaron Wan-Bissaka's fee to West Ham has covered Mazraoui and De Ligt's payments for this financial year. Yeah, that makes sense, mate. It does, because we worked it out a couple of minutes ago, right? De Ligt's transfer fee is 38 million over 3 years. So that is 12.6. And Mazraoui's is 13 divided by 3. Yeah, it's 15 million, around that figure. So you're completely right there, mate. That's completely accurate. We sell Wan-Bissaka for 15 million. Apparently they're paying that all up front to us. That was part of the deal. 15 million for Wan-Bissaka, and that pays for this season's payments for De Ligt and Mazraoui. So it's really, really good business. It's really smart. And yeah, I'm really, really happy about this, to be honest. But let's move on from that, though. I want to jump on over to Evan Ferguson then, shall we? Because this story, I'll be honest, it caught me by surprise a little bit. And we always do get surprised in the transfer window. I think that's why the window can be so exciting, because like crazy things do happen. Who expected Pedro Neto to join? Chelsea? I didn't. He was talks of him going to Arsenal. There was talks of him going to Manchester United. And then suddenly out of nowhere, you get Pedro Neto to Chelsea. And within a day, he's a Chelsea player. Like, how has that happened? But I want to talk about Evan Ferguson. So Manchester Evening News, other newspapers, multiple different places are reporting that apparently Manchester United are preparing... Let me just have a sip of my water, prepare for it. They're reporting that apparently Manchester United are preparing a £50 million bid for Evan Ferguson. The story says that it is believed that Manchester United are concerned that Chelsea will swoop in for Evan Ferguson, meaning they would be open to make an approach for the striker this window. It goes on to say that Dan Ashworth knows Evan Ferguson well and was behind the deal to sign the centre-forward during his time at the Amex. So obviously we all know that Dan Ashworth was the director of football at Brighton, and he was the person responsible for bringing him in, obviously, to Brighton. I would love Evan Ferguson. I think he's quality. And I'm going to be honest with you here. I actually think we do need another striker because, for me, Joshua Zirkzee isn't like a striker, if that makes sense. He reminds me more of like a Julian Alvarez type of player. He's very good on the ball. He's very skillful. He's very good at hold-up play. But he's not an all-and-out goal scorer, if that makes sense. If you look at Joshua Zirkzee's stats and look at his attributes over the last like 3 or 4 years when he's been at the top level, he's not a prolific goal scorer, Joshua Zirkzee. And that's not me criticising him, because a lot of his skills in his game are his hold-up ability, his ability to play others in. He's very good on the ball. For someone his height, he's incredibly good on the ball. He's incredibly skillful. He's quick. And I think he could operate kind of anywhere around those front three positions, whether that's as a striker, a centre-forward, a number 10. Like, he can operate all around there. So, obviously, we've got Rasmus Højlund, but he's injured until, I think, October. And I do think we desperately need a new striker, you know? And this isn't me being greedy. If you look back at the great teams over the last 20 years, in the Sir Alex days, we had 3 or 4 top strikers, you know? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was an absolutely prolific striker, and he spent most of his time sat on the bench and would come off the bench and impact games. And if we could get Evan Ferguson on a similar deal to what we've done with Bayern Munich and Bayern Munich, if we could do a deal where we paid it over like a 4-year period, I see no problem in that whatsoever. I think it makes complete sense. You know, if we could get him for 50 million and we give them 50 million across 4 years, that would be about £12.5 million per season for 4 years. I think it would make a lot of sense. Evan Ferguson would offer us a lot. People saying that 50 million is too much for him. Mate, I don't think it is too much for him. Joshua Solanke has just gone to Tottenham for £65 million. Do we really think that Solanke is worth £65 million? I'm sorry. Go and have a look at Solanke's stats. Like, yes, he had a good season last year. Yes, he's a good player. But Solanke is 26 years of age, right? And he's just gone to Tottenham for 65 million. Solanke's played 134 games in the Premier League, and he scored 29 goals. He averages a goal every 3 games. So if you look at that over a Premier League season, that's at best, is that even 10 goals a season? Yeah, it's roughly about, no, not even, it's less, 90. It's less than that. He averages about 8 goals a season. Which, does that mean he's worth 65 million? Because he is. Tottenham just paid it. Tottenham literally just paid 65 million for him. And as I said, he did do well last season, but previously, he wasn't particularly great. I don't think Dominic Solanke, was he? Whereas you look at Evan Ferguson, he's averaging at the moment a goal every 3 games, which, again, isn't amazing. I get it. It's not like crazy stats. But for someone of his age, he's only 19. I think it's worth it. Now, the key detail here, and the reason why Manchester United are apparently going to maybe change their plans, is because of Chelsea's interest in Evan Ferguson. Obviously, we know that Chelsea are desperate to sign a striker. Apparently, they're interested in, obviously, Victor Osimhen. And apparently now they're turning their interest to Evan Ferguson. I think he'd be a good deal. The alternative is that you go for someone like Ivan Toney, 28 years of age. I just think that signing someone like Evan Ferguson, who's only 19, that's the future right there. Ivan Toney is a striker for the now. He's not a striker for the future. Like, Ivan Toney would be here for 2 or 3 years, and then that would be it, you know? And yeah, I just don't think it would be a good deal, Ivan Toney. I like him. I think he's quality, but he's going to cost the same amount of money as someone like Evan Ferguson would. And for that reason, I just don't think it's a sensible thing. There's some news coming out here in the last couple of seconds that apparently, obviously, Ligt and Mazraoui were in London today for a friendly against Tottenham. And apparently they're going to fly to Manchester. That's what's being reported in the last couple of minutes. So they're going to fly from London to Manchester later on today. So hopefully we get a medical tomorrow for them. Like, I want them in training on Monday, really. That would be the ideal situation here. But you can let me know your thoughts on Evan Ferguson. Like, do Manchester United need another striker? There is still a very strong possibility that Jadon Sancho will leave the club this summer. Obviously, we know that PSG are interested in Sancho. They haven't signed anybody yet to fill that left wing position. They haven't managed to get that Desiree Doué guy over the line. So I think there is still a strong possibility that Jadon Sancho would end up at PSG. I don't think we need any more wingers. We've got Anthony, we've got Garnacho, we've got Ahmad, we've got Rashford. Like, we've got plenty of options on the wing, but I still think our striker options are very, very limited. As I said, Joshua Zirkzee to me isn't an out-and-out striker, and Rasmus Højlund's injured. Got injured a lot last season and is still, growing and still developing. So, I do think we need another striker, but maybe you disagree. Like, maybe you don't think it's a priority. Obviously, the immediate future is get the Mazraoui and Ligt deals done. Once that's done, we need to sign a midfielder, Manuel Ugarte, Sander Berg, whoever that might be. And then I still think there's the potential we'll sign an attacking player, because we haven't signed any attacking players this window, if you think about it. If you look, sorry, we have. That's wrong. We've signed Zirkzee. But yeah, most of our deals have been kind of for more defence-minded players. It's going to be a CDM, 2 centre-backs and a right-back, and then Joshua Zirkzee. But as I said, for me, having watched Joshua Zirkzee quite a lot recently, watching back old games of him, watching clips of him, reading scout reports and stuff, Joshua Zirkzee is more of a kind of Julian Alvarez type player, more skillful, not like an out-and-out goal scorer. And I think we do need that out-and-out goal scorer. And someone like Evan Ferguson, someone like Ivan Toney, like, those are out-and-out goal scorers. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether this bid actually goes in. I could see Evan Ferguson ending up at an Arsenal, a Chelsea. Like, someone will try and sign him this summer. I bet you any money. So, yeah, I think it would be a good deal. But whether or not we'll do it, we'll have to wait and see. Macmillan says that the Times are reporting that Aaron Wan-Bissaka deal is worth 20 million, not 15. Yeah, that's what I said. I said 15 million guaranteed plus 5 in add-ons. That was what I said earlier on. But thank you anyway for pointing it out. I appreciate that. 15 million up front plus 5 in add-ons. It's not 20 million up front. Apparently there's some add-ons on the deal, but they're being described as achievable add-ons, so that's positive. Yeah, that's really, really good. Okay, let's see what else we've got planned for the show this evening. If anybody has any questions they want to get them in the chat now, and I'll try and read out as many as possible. Where are we? Let's have a look in the chat. Just to be clear, we haven't bid 50 million for Evan Ferguson yet. I can see people saying that. That's why there's a question mark in it. There are people reporting that Chelsea are going to submit a bid for Evan Ferguson. Evan Ferguson is apparently a top target for Manchester United. He's someone that they were going to buy in the next window or the window after. And because Chelsea are now interested in him, Manchester United might effectively try and sign him now. That's the story. Ashley says, why is Mason Mount number 7? I don't know, mate, to be honest. I don't. I have no idea. Did he ask for it? Maybe? I honestly don't know. I mean, he definitely shouldn't have got the number 7 shirt. I want Mason Mount to do well, but yeah, the number 7 shirt was definitely a strange decision from Manchester United, to be honest. Zozam says, can you answer my question about the contracts? I can't see your question, mate, to be honest. If you put it in the chat again, I'll try and read it out. There's so many messages coming through that it's pretty hard to read all your questions. So if I don't, I mean, most of the time people have to do super chats to get, I try and read out questions, but it's obviously pretty difficult to do when there's so many people putting questions in all the time. Okay, let's move on from all of that though. There was a couple of other... I'm just going to try and find this question. Macmillan says people need to stop moaning about Mount wearing the number 7. Like Roy Keane said, it's just a number. I mean, it goes both ways, right? Mason Mount wearing the number 7 puts a lot of pressure on him. you know? So, somebody says, how have Chelsea not got done by financial fair play? Chelsea are doing the same thing as what we're doing. They're spreading deals across like a 4 or 5 year period. That's how they're signing so many players. So Chelsea are doing everything within the rules. It doesn't seem like they are, but they're selling lots of youth players for 100% profit. And they are then spreading the future transfers over like 4 or 5 years. So although it seems like Chelsea are spending a lot of money, I saw someone breaking it down on Twitter, right? And apparently Chelsea could spend 600 million this summer, which is crazy. And that's because they've sold like 130 million pounds worth of youth players this summer, all 100% profit, and they're spreading deals over like a 4-year period. So they'd worked out that they'd made 130 million off sales profit, and if they bought players over a 4-year period, they could spend like 600 million, they were saying. This was somebody who I trust on Twitter who always has reliable stuff. Arnold says, what do you reckon is going to happen with Kadioglu? I think Kadioglu's definitely a name to watch, but I think at the moment the priority is Ligt, Mazraoui, and a central defensive midfielder. It all depends on outgoings later on in the window. Like, if, Lindelof goes, which is obviously likely, and then obviously Wan-Bissaka goes, which is pretty much nailed on, then, yeah, we should be all right. Jacob says, what's wrong with Luke Shaw? He's just not fit, I don't think. He's not fit enough to be on the bench, which is a shame, to be honest. It is a shame. I don't want to slag Luke Shaw off, but I think serious question marks have to be asked about Luke Shaw, to be honest. You know, he's been injured all season. Fine, you're injured. Suddenly he's available for the Euros, miraculously. He plays in the Euros final. He goes off on holiday. Every other player who went off on holiday is fit and available and played in the game today. Martinez played 90 minutes and he played in the Copa America final. Bruno played 90 minutes. Other players played 90 minutes. And Luke Shaw suddenly isn't even fit enough to sit on the bench. Apparently he's not injured, he's just not fit. And I actually said this on a video a couple of days ago. Like, I think being not fit is actually worse than being injured. If you're injured, like, there's not really much you can do about it other than rest and get better. But being not fit, to me, and maybe I'm just being judgmental, but for me, if someone's not fit, that shows that they're not looking after themselves properly, surely. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he did on holiday. I don't know, all the rest of it. But to me, being not fit is worse, I think. But maybe that's just me being negative. I mean, he's on £150,000 a week. Like, surely he can keep himself fit. But yeah, maybe I'm being negative. Who knows? Ant says, do you reckon we could do a deal with Kadioglu with Anthony going the other way? Mate, I would love for that. I would love for that to happen. That sounds like something that would happen in FIFA. A swap deal. Garnacho is in the chat. He says, can you say happy birthday to CJ? It's his 60th birthday. Happy birthday, CJ. I hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're looking forward to the season started, and I hope you've had a great day. So big ups to you. Lots of people in the chat saying, why don't we just wait and sign Tony for free next summer? I mean, I would like that. I think that would be good. I think my issue with Tony is that he's going to cost a lot of money. He's 28, 29. He's going to want to play a lot of games, and I think at the moment that would mess with our squad. Whereas someone like Ivan Toney, like, he's going to come in and understand. Sorry, Evan Ferguson. He's going to come in and understand that, he's not going to play every single game. And that's what I think the difference is for me. But maybe you guys disagree. Obviously, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm just seeing what else I have planned for the show, because there was a couple of other bits that I wanted to. Hopefully we see Xerxes next week. Like, that's what I really, really want. I want to see Xerxes on Friday against Fulham. That's like the priority for me. That has to happen. Like, no excuses. Xerxes has to start that game. Ahmad has to start that game. Garnacho has to start. That has to happen. It does. I want as well, actually, just a quick one. I want to give a shout out to Casemiro, because I think he did well today. I've criticised Casemiro a lot, but I do think Casemiro played quite well today. Casper says you forgot the striker we bought from Arsenal's academy. Yeah, that's true. That is true. LeBeau says, Kieran, who would you like to see come in as the new CDM? New CDM. I would have gone with Zubimendi, but I don't think he's going to come to Manchester United. I would have gone Zubimendi #1 option, then probably Manuel Ugarte, then Yusuf Fofana. Like that would be the options for me. Hold on one sec. Let me just. I think I might have to go. Or maybe I don't. Hold on. Give me a second, everybody. Give the video a like whilst I just reply to this message. Hold on. I'm just might be going for a walk with my dog. It's not my dog messaging me. My dog doesn't have a phone. I mean, maybe it does. I don't think it does, though. Yeah, I'm going to go now. I'm going to go and take my dog for a walk. My dog has just messaged me, and my dog is saying, please take me for a walk. I want to go outside, Kieran. So I'm going to go and take my dog for a walk. Have a lovely evening, everybody. I will be live tomorrow morning, as usual, at 8:30. Have a great evening. If anything breaks this evening, obviously I will go live as always. Make sure you smash a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And go and follow us on Twitter as well. Let's go and have some more conversation over there. Thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely evening, everybody. And I will speak to you all at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Bye for now, everyone. I'm going to go take my dog for a walk.